everyone? Welcome back to 996 The Howl. 30 games in the books, just over the third way point into this new season. You can't even call it a new season anymore. The 2022-2023 season, over a third of the way in. The last 10 games, not bad, not terrible. 3-5-2. Not their best 10-game string of games. That was from games 10 to 20, where they went 4-4-2. 3-5-2 is not bad, considering the expectations and the advertised tank year. Maybe just one bad game in this string of games, which was the Edmonton game, losing 8-2. Buffalo game, if you just look at the scoreboard, it was not 5-2, 3-2 with two empty netters. I liked that game. I thought Ingram deserved better. We'll get into Ingram later. But yeah, 5-2, not really a huge loss. It was a close game if you actually watched the game and didn't just look at the results. So let's go into it. They're 10-15-5 on the year. They are 29th place in the league. If you go by absolute points, if you go by point percentage, they're above San Jose, which brings them to 28th place. If you're all for the tank, you don't even watch the games, you just want them to get first overall or second overall draft pick, and you think all this is for nothing, all matters is the draft picks, I really don't know what to say to you. A lot of these stats are in your favor. I think these stats show that the Coyotes are going to go on a bit of a dive here, a nosedive. It won't be too terrible, and then you couple that with trades that are bound to come in January and February. So I think, if you're on Team Tank, that's all you care about. You don't like it when they win. Maybe it gets better, but to be honest, these other teams like Chicago and Anaheim, it's going to be really tough, to beat them out of the tank race. I feel like the Coyotes are playing a bit too well. But, if you don't care about that, you just want to watch enjoyable, watchable hockey, you love this team, you tune in for every game, it's been a great ride these past 10 games, obviously with the exception of the Edmonton game, which is sad because I think the Edmonton game really brought up the goals against per game. They're on a good trend of not allowing too many goals per game, but it is at 3.63, up from 3.4. I always say you want to bring that down below 3. Maybe next year that will happen, but for this year, bring it down to at least 3.25. Goals for, back up. It's at 2.77, up from 2.7. That's 26th in the league. I want that to approach the 3 goals per game mark. If they can get over the 3 goals per game mark, that would be great too. I don't expect that, but I like to see that it's increasing. I believe the highest it's been all season was like 2.8 in the first 10 games of the season. So you're starting to see this is what the Coyotes are about. They try to go for that 3rd goal, and when they do, usually it means it's a really good game, and maybe sometimes they actually win the game when they score 3 goals. But you're not going to see them scoring 5 goals a game. It's rare when that happens, but 3 goals is usually what the Coyotes do and bring to the table night in and night out. Power play, it's been a nosedive. Remember when this power play was 10th in the league? Now it's at 25th in the league at 19.6%, along with their penalty kill, which was also top 10 in the league in the early days of the season, down to 77%, and that's 19th place in the league. Pretty much all of these stats are really low in league average and low in the standings, except for shooting percentage. But yeah, their special teams starting to be the tradition under Andre Tourigny's tenure. Coyotes just don't have good special teams under Andre Tourigny. I don't know what to say about that, if it's the talent or it's just the way his systems are. It started out really well, and I was actually excited that this might be a new thing for the Coyotes where their special teams are really good. But, we'll keep an eye on it. I expect the power play to be a bit better in the next few games, obviously until Chychrun and Gostisbehere get traded, because once they get traded, really, that defense is going to be really abysmal, especially on the power play. I think all you'll have is Mosers, so let's just continue watching. I don't think the power play is letting them down too much as opposed to previous seasons, especially last season and Rick Tockett's season. Last season, there were so many times where they could have won a game or gotten back into a game with a good power play goal. But lately, the Coyotes are playing pretty good 5-on-5, way better than they were in the beginning of the season. So I think I predicted that early. It's not a hard prediction to make, but earlier in the season, I knew these special team numbers were unsustainable. Their 5-on-5 numbers were way too low and really bad. So now it's kind of evened out. I would like to see the power play be a bit better. Lately, they got Michelli on with Keller, Kraus, and Hayden. Hayden goes to the front of the net. And then you have Moser on the point. And then the second unit, first it was Schmaltz, Bukestad, and Ritchie. Now it's Schmaltz, Bukestad, and Boyd. And then you got the two horses and Chychrun and Gostisbehere on the back end. I like that. Gostisbehere and Chychrun, they act like the wingers, so Schmaltz is not all alone with Bukestad and Boyd. I think their job is just to go to the front of the net. And then you have a triangle of either Chychrun and Gostisbehere and then Schmaltz on his side. I like it. It should be getting more goals. I would like to see Michelli shoot the puck on the power play a bit more. I think on the PP1, they know it's just going to go to Keller because, you shouldn't be scared of Moser's shot. Even though he does have an accurate shot and it gets on net, and usually it gets through bodies. It's not like an accurate shot. It's more like a heavy shot that gets through, has a seeing eye vision, and then you have Kraus and Hayden from the net. So maybe, they got to reunite Keller and Schmaltz to get that power play going. But we'll see. Penalty kill wise, they're starting to take less penalties per game, so hopefully the PK numbers start to rise a little bit more. 19th in the league, not too bad. Considering last year it was like 31st, 32nd for most of the season, so 19th is not bad. Just maybe get it to league average. I would love that at the end of the season, so I'll keep an eye on that as well. Save percentage took a hit. Like I said, that one bad Edmonton game where they scored 8 goals brought it down to below 900. 20th in the league. I want to see that above 900, and I expect it to be above 900 when we're here halfway through the season with the 40-game progress report. Shots on shooting percentage, 4th in the league. The Coyotes, they don't get a lot of shots on net per game. Last in the league by a long shot. They're about a shot and a half per game less than 31st place. Coyotes don't shoot a lot. Last night they had 39 shots, almost 40 shots, unheard of by the Coyotes. Their previous high was 32 against the New York Rangers. That was a bit of an anomaly game last night against Montreal. It seemed like the script was flipped. Usually it's the Coyotes who don't get enough shots, and then they're heavily outshot, and Vejmelka keeps them in, and then they somehow win the game. But last night it was the reverse Uno card against them, where Montembeault for Montreal stood on his head, made incredible saves. He saved 37 out of 39 shots. Montreal didn't have too many shots on goal, but ended up winning the game. For the Coyotes, what you expect going into the game is between 20 and 25 shots per game. They'll score 2 or 3 goals per game, and maybe they'll win the game, maybe not. But at least they're efficient. I think the Coyotes are really good at capitalizing on their opportunities. The problem is consistently generating those opportunities. I think that's the next step for this team, not this year, but next year and the years moving forward. Once they get way more talent on the roster, you got to generate those chances consistently and a lot more. Right now, they're really good at capitalizing. It seems like when they have a good scoring chance, yes, it is uncommon, but usually they'll score. So, we see Michelli on a breakaway, he scores. We see Fisher on a breakaway twice, and he scores. In other years, they would have such a hard time capitalizing, executing, and scoring goals, under those Rick Tocchet years. So frustrating watching the Coyotes not being able to capitalize on great chances. Rick Tocchet always talked about, having more deception in your game, moving the goalie laterally, making the goalie move a lot. But under Andre Tourigny, you don't hear any of that. The goal scoring, it's there, even though it's not a lot. They rarely get shut out, rarely only score 1 goal a game. So, at least they know how to score. Just got to create more chances to score those goals. Face-offs a bit higher than it was previously, still 28th in the league. It's at 45.9%. Like I said in previous videos, Barrett Hayden is our best face-off guy, and that is why he's not getting scratched. And great to see him score against Buffalo. Had a great game against Montreal. He's just got to keep it going. I expect Hayden to have a really good next 10-game stretch here. He looks energized. He looks confident with the puck. He's shooting more. So I expect Hayden to have a really good couple of games coming up here. But yeah, hopefully the face-off percentage gets higher to 47, 48. I doubt it'll go over 50 like it should be. But as long as it keeps increasing, it shows me that they're working on face-offs or having practice time finally. So hopefully those practice times gets into the details of the game, like face-offs and special teams. Like I said, with more practice time, those things should hopefully increase. Finally, fights. They had 4 fights from games 20 to 30, 11 fights on the season. That's good for 9th in the league. They're not at the top, like I would expect them to be top 5 in fights, but they're 9th in the league. Last year they had 11 fights at game 20, so you know they're not fighting as much as last year. I am going to start recording hits per game, starting with the 40 game progress report, just to see the physicality of the Coyotes, because I would assume that they would be a top 5 team in terms of fights, but apparently it's not. And it's surprising to see a team like Vancouver second place with 19 fights. I don't know who was fighting on the Canucks. I believe it's probably all Luke Schenn. But I don't even know who's fighting for that team, to be honest. They don't have much tough guys. Like I said, Luke Schenn is probably the only tough guy I know on that team. I know that's a blindside for me. I'm just trying to joke here. I'm sure they have some fourth liner who throws the fisticuffs. So that's it. A lot of stats going in the wrong direction. What I want is, get that goals per game to approach 3, get the goals against to approach 3 as well. Get power play. I want that power play 15th in the league at the end of the season. If you start top 10, at least get to average. Like, come on. It's been pretty disappointing that it's nosedived this much. Penalty killing, it's almost there. Go to average, go to 15th place in the league for penalty kill. We'll see with these trades what happens. So maybe those penalty killing defensemen are going to get more 5-on-5 time once Chychrun and Gostisbehere go. So maybe that affects their penalty kill because they're too tired. Maybe not. We'll see. But I expect save percentage to go above 900 immediately in the next 2 games or so. It shouldn't be below 900. It was that one game that kind of skewed the results for the save percentage to decrease from the 20-game mark. So hopefully that gets better. Hopefully the shots per game got to be way higher. Hopefully Montreal is an example of where we go from here, where they're getting over 25 shots per game consistently. I doubt it. Montreal's a weak team, but they're doing surprisingly well, better than the Coyotes. But, I think the Montreal Canadiens just don't defend too well, and the Coyotes were able to generate so many shots. But hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully they get a lot more shots coming up. We'll go to the top 5 players for the Coyotes. Who's leading this team in scoring and points? Obviously, Keller, point per game pace, 30 points in 30 games. He's got to continue it, not get injured, and hopefully he hits the 80-point mark. Hopefully he becomes one of the best point getters in a single season in Coyotes franchise history. It's a low bar. We don't have any 100-point guys in this franchise's history if you only do Coyotes. So I think Keller, if he continues doing what he's doing, he's looking really good. He had that 4-game, kind of ghosting, maybe uncomfortable, maybe tired stretch of games. I think the LA game and then those 3 Western Canada games, he didn't play too well. But since coming back from that trip, been playing really well. He's looking good. He wants the puck, scored a hat trick against Philadelphia. So he keeps it going, and we should be all good. Gostisbehere gets a resurgence, finally, since Chychrun's come back. His point totals have increased a lot. He's got 23 points in 30 games, which includes 8 goals. Gossesbear, he's going to get a first round pick at the deadline. Everyone's focused on Chikrin. Oh, our other team's going to meet, Bill Armstrong's price of 2 first round picks. Well, you're going to get 2 first round picks for Chikrin. This guy's got 13 points in 14 games. This guy's going to be a top 5 point getter, and he already missed half the season already. So don't worry about Chikrin. Armstrong will get his price for him. Now you got Gossesbear. He's for sure getting a first round pick, especially because the market for defensemen in these tank teams, really his only competitor is Chikrin and Carlson. And I think teams are going to be more favorable to give a first for Gossesbear than they are for Carlson. Carlson's had a string of injuries and hasn't been himself for years. And finally he's getting to himself again. He's a bit older as well. At least Gossesbear, last year he was a point producer. This year he's even better. He's still younger than Carlson. Doesn't have injury problems the past 2 years. So you put him on a good team, and he could be a quarterback to your power play. Maybe a team like Washington or Pittsburgh could use a quarterback defenseman like Gossesbear. They're familiar with him because they're rivals to Philadelphia. I expect a first round pick for Gossesbear. If Bill Armstrong doesn't get that, I think that's a failure in that trade, even though we got Gossesbear for free and some. But you got to get a first round pick for his performance. That's going to be a really good haul for Ghost. Then Michelli, still second place in rookie scoring. It's great that he's been hanging around there all season. Maybe there was a thought at the back of my mind that, maybe it's a fluke that he's like top 2, top 3 in rookie scoring, but it seems like he just continues to get better and better. That goal last night against Montreal, an exceptional play from start to finish. You got Chikrin, who throws a bomb to center ice from his own red line, to Krause, who one-touches it, to a speeding Michelli. It was a great play, great execution, totally out of left field. I don't think anyone was expecting that, and no one knew what actually happened until you saw the replay and Tyson Nash had to draw it out for you. It was just a wonderfully master-crafted play that you usually don't see the Coyotes make set plays like that too often. So hopefully, more plays like that are in the mix in the future. But loving Michelli, I always say he's got to shoot a bit more. Only 3 goals on the season, but 19 assists. He's got 22 points in 28 games. He was scratched for 2 games, and since being scratched, he's been a point per game player. So he learned his lesson. He was a bit undisciplined in early going there. Not a lot of practice time to fine tune his game. Now that he's getting practice time with the team, he's continuing to have great chemistry with Krause and Bukestad. It just works. It's money. Don't break it. Don't fix it if it's not broke. It seems like it's like the Johan Larsson and Phil Kessel tandem. On paper, it doesn't seem to make sense, but on the ice, it makes sense. Same with Michelli and Bukestad. Doesn't make sense on paper, but it works on the ice. And Krause is having himself a season as well. 13 goals, 4 assists, 17 points in 29 games. Missed 1 game to an illness. I believe 3 out of the 4 assists he has are against the Montreal Canadiens. So he's usually the finisher. He's shooting the puck a lot more. He's getting great passes by Michelli. He's going to the front of the net. He knows where to be. He's on the power play. He's an alternate captain. Loving Krause's game. He's living up to his new contract value. And it's going to start looking like a steal once he hits 20 goals. And he's only getting paid $4.3 million for the next 5 years, I would say. So finally we have Moser, whose stock has been dropping since Chikrin's come back in the lineup. The ice time for Moser has been decreasing. That's why his point production has been decreasing. It's still good to see Moser up here in the top 5 point getters, but he's only 2 points above Chikrin, who's played half less games than Moser. Moser's only had 2 points in his past 10 games, which is unfortunate, but, we got to increase the stock value of Chikrin and Gossesbear. Hopefully, this doesn't get Moser's confidence down, because we'll need him and we'll need to rely on him once those two horses get traded, and then he'll be our number one D man. So he's got to continue, work through it, enjoy that power play time with Keller, get acquainted with the power play, because he's going to be our new quarterback defenseman moving forward, like I said, once those trades happen. And then goalies. For me, I'll start with Ingram. I expected and wanted Ingram to play against Montreal as well. He had a great game against Buffalo, had a .927 save percentage, allowed 3 goals. He played awesome. I don't think he's a bad goalie. I just think he's had bad games, and the Coyotes have had bad games along with Ingram. It's not like there's a game where Ingram plays awful and the team in front of him plays really well. It's usually the team in front of him is playing bad and Ingram's going to play bad too. There's actually a game against the Rangers the first time in Arizona where the Coyotes didn't play well at all, but Ingram played amazing, and they only lost that game 3-2. So I don't think Ingram's a terrible goalie. His numbers are bad, atrocious even. That's why he had a great game against Buffalo. Why not just play him against Montreal? It's a meaningless game. It's a tank game. I'm sure Bill Armstrong would have loved to lose that game in regulation. Just get Ingram's confidence up. It's just he had a good game against Buffalo. Just keep it going. You don't need to play Vejmelka all the time. You have Vegas Wednesday night. Could have just rested Vejmelka for Wednesday. It wasn't like Vejmelka was going to miss a lot of time and get rushed on his game. It's like he deserves like a 4 or 5 day break. But I don't know if you agree or disagree with me. I just thought Ingram deserved another start against a weak team, get his confidence up, get that first win. He hasn't had a win in 2 months. His only win of the season was against the Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus. That was the 4th game of the season 2 months ago. I don't know, man. Just would have liked Ingram to get back-to-back starts. He had a really good game against Buffalo. Just keep his confidence going, so he's not sitting on the bench. Who's he going to play next? They have Vegas on Wednesday, LA Friday, and then the Avalanche and the Leafs next week. It's like you're not playing Ingram in any of those games. Maybe the Kings game, but please don't put him in against the Avalanche or the Leafs. Even though the Avalanche are struggling a bit, they could erupt at any time. I just thought this was a perfect game to play Ingram, and then you have Vejmelka for the next 4 games because they're against good teams. So I don't know. That's me and Ingram. I think he's good. I don't get uncomfortable when I see Ingram is starting. I actually do feel comfortable, and I like seeing him play. I'm not gonna put it all on Ingram. That Dallas game and Edmonton game were all on him. He allowed his save percentage for that Dallas game is like 700. It's really bad. And just tanking his numbers a lot. But I like Ingram. I don't think he's amazing, but he's a serviceable backup, and just want his confidence and see him get a couple wins and a couple good games. Buffalo was a great game, so let's see how he performs from there. A lot of talk on Ingram. And then Vejmelka, 9-8-4, 911 save percentage, and 3.11 goals against average. Loving Vejmelka's game. He's taking a step to be a bona fide NHL starter. Would like to see some more rest, like I said, with Ingram. Maybe overworking Vejmelka a little bit, but doesn't look like there's any rust on his game. So comfortable with him in net. It just seems like the Coyotes know how to pick these goalies. We've been pretty spoiled, so I hope in the future that we have a good goalie and we reward him with a playoff appearance and playoff wins, and maybe a road to the Stanley Cup. We got to reward these goalies. They're playing unbelievable for us. We had like Brizgalov, and then Mike Smith, Darcy Kemper. Ronta was good when he was healthy. Now we have Vejmelka, just a great crop of goalies that I love and fans love. And they're, besides Mike Smith, these aren't animated goalies. There's no antics surrounding them. They come in, they're calm, and they just do their job and get out. And usually it's a good performance by Vejmelka. So hopefully he continues it. It would be sad if he turns into Swiss cheese, which I know he's known for uncommonly, but if he gets overworked, you might start to see those games, but maybe this year is different. Hopefully they load manage him a bit better and play Ingram a little bit more. That's what I want. So overall, not too shabby for the Coyotes. I'm loving watching these games. Had a great stretch of 10 games here. The past 20 games have been really good. From games 10 to 20, they were 4-4-2. These past 10 games, 3-5-2. So what's that? 7-9-4. Pretty good for what was supposed to be a terrible season. Some media outlets thought we had the worst roster in NHL history. That just flew back in their face. So loving the Coyotes. I love watching them. I'm getting up for every game, even if they're late games like against Montreal. I'm not sure why that had a late start time, but they're playing really well. I'm excited for the future. Those tank thoughts are in the back of my mind, but they're really small for now. I know to start to worry about that mid to late January, maybe the All-Star game, I start to see, okay, where's a tank race? What do we do? What should we expect moving closer to the draft and the lottery? And so those thoughts will come in the new year. I hope all you guys are having fun as well watching this team, but that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.